Last year, I made a kind of a proof of concept for a short film. It was like this person walks up these stairs and then pops out on the landing on top. It's like a portal situation where eventually he can't escape the staircase. As we kept going though, we started realizing it was getting super complicated. Actually, I had done a animatic, which is between a storyboard and an actual animation, where you have like a moving storyboard showing out like the choreography and stuff. And I was showing Mr. Conley and talking about what he thought about it. And looking at that, he said, can you do an animation? At first I said no, because it would be extremely complicated and take a lot of time. Eventually we came back around to, actually, you know what, this could be doable. I did a test shot over the weekend. It was like literally 4 frames. Having done that, Kaylin traced it in digitally. We photo scanned it, and then she traced it in like drawing software and made it a GIF. So that's kind of how we started on an animation. At this time, we didn't entirely know what it was. I spent some time researching like old Disney cartoons, like Oswald the Rabbit. Was a huge influence in this, as well as like older Mickey Mouse cartoons. We were going back to the silent film era, so we wanted to capture that style because it's campy in a different way than cartoons are nowadays. So we originally based our concept for the story on a specific Oswald cartoon called Trolley Troubles. We were trying to figure out who this character was going to be, because if we just picked something, it wasn't gonna work. We started with a pig. We had this pig.
Walter.
Yeah, his name was Walter. He was adorable. And he would have been great, but he didn't work for this. We need someone with more energy, I feel like. So we eventually just started drawing caricatures of random animals, and Lenny kind of came out of that. We looked at some reference for actual lemurs. And eventually we kind of went down towards more of a original Mickey Mouse or Oswald style. What we're doing right now is exactly what the Walt Disney Company did for, I don't know, until they stopped making 2D animations, with the exception, I mean, the equipment's slightly different, but. Yeah, so when we did that test of the smoke sequence over February break and we saw that go through, it just worked, and it was just cool. The animations were made on paper, but they can't stay on paper. It would look like a sketch. And so what we're doing differently is we have static sets. They're just images that we layer the animations on top of. The purpose of the classic sheets was to put them on top of the paper ones and transfer the lines from that using an oil paint pen. And we flip them over, paint in the back, and then once that's dry, you put it on top of the set, take a picture from above. Once you crop it in post, you have an animation. Like, I assumed that you have to, like, you know, make sure everything was exactly the same every time. No, it's like, as long as you're mostly there, it looks fine. You don't notice anything. And so that was not hard. But the hardest part was kind of crunching and getting all of the cells transferred and painted. I realized that we needed more help. So we had 9 animators and we got all the sequences done. It was amazing. We got this like huge room in the lower level of Blackburn, and we got a lot of people. There's like something like 680 individual photographs, but that doesn't equal cells. We had 400 clear plastic sheets to work with. We used a bunch for testing, and I think we might have gone a little over 400. I wanted to try and keep things as authentic as possible. And you know, in cartoons, what they do is, you know, they didn't have digital stuff, and a lot of times, you know, some of the sounds were too wonky to go out and just record in nature. So they'd have to come up with these contraptions or whatever. I did a broom on top of a piece of insulation foam. Or a lot of times the characters would just play things like an instrument, and like an example people will know. Steamboat Willie. He played, like, you know, different things like a xylophone. So we had a part where the coals going into the firebox walk by, and Lenny's playing them like an instrument. I worked with Sam. Sam also animated earlier. She does percussion in band, and she's really amazing. She could play like almost everything we talked about. We actually played a marimba.
Now approaching our final destination.